This episode is brought to you by the Denver Art Museum. Don't miss the opportunity to see The Stars We Do Not See, Australian Indigenous art at the Denver Art Museum through July 26th. This exhibition is the largest display of Australian Indigenous art ever presented in North America and offers a captivating, multi-layered experience featuring 130 works by 142 artists, drawn exclusively from the National Gallery of Victoria's world-leading collection. These works will introduce you to the art, resilience, and depth of the world's oldest continuous living culture. Visit denverartmuseum.org to purchase tickets today. That's denverartmuseum.org. This episode is brought to you by Blue Sky Plumbing. Want to score the ultimate home field advantage this summer? Blue Sky Plumbing is giving away a brand new big screen TV and gift cards to some of Denver's favorite local restaurants just in time for the season. Here's how to enter. If your HVAC system is 7 years or older, book a free HVAC install estimate by July 31st and you'll automatically be entered to win. Don't wait until your old system leaves you on the sidelines. Visit blueskyplumbing.com and check out all of their home field advantage offers for HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. That's blueskyplumbing.com.
Welcome to CityCast Denver. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. So today we're talking about the state of homelessness in Denver from an outside perspective and why Aurora's mayor is sleeping at a shelter every week. Plus, we're digging into the state of farmers markets and talking about something hot and crispy. Joining me is Michelle Jackson, our resident coffee shop enthusiast. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Bree.
Good morning. Before we get into the other fun stuff, I want to mention it. We have this great new newsletter called Keep It Local. We spotlight local businesses every week to help you live your best mile-high life. So this week's edition of Keep It Local, we're talking all about beverages, where to find the coolest drinks in Denver, and we mean that figuratively and literally because it has been hot. So if you go to denver.citycast.fm to sign up for Keep It Local or see a link in our show notes, you can get Keep It Local delivered to your inbox every Thursday. So go check that out. Now, okay, we're talking about something really new, really locally newsworthy, which is your feelings on McDonald's fried apple pie. Michelle, you brought this to me, and if I know anything about you, is when you have a bone to pick, you have a bone to pick. First of all, I guess we should say for folks who are not in the know, McDonald's they brought back their fried apple pie. They say it's temporary. I'm guessing by the packaging that this is very throwback. Because I went and got one after you mentioned it. I'd never had one, weird enough. What is your deal? I know, but I need to know. I don't know anything about, I have to say I just missed this somehow in the my life at McDonald's. What's your deal?
Okay,
with the hot apple pie?
There are a couple of things that you need to understand about Michelle.
Okay.
I don't eat fast food. I've always been that kid who doesn't like fast food. Even when I was younger, I wasn't that girl. And in fact, when I was in high school at Manual, senior year, I had like three or 4 hours of school, and we'd go for sushi. Very sus at that time. We'd go for sushi at lunch hour.
Can I ask where?
It was across from Tabor Center. I swear to God, this is real. This really happened. And so we'd go for like mid sushi at this point because my palate's improved. But I enjoyed it. Okay. Anyway, but there were a couple of things that I did stand for when it came to McDonald's. The fries and the apple pies. And the apple pie in particular were hot molten lava in your mouth. Like the really hot pies. It was like you bit into it and you're like, ah! And then you're like, oh, because it was just delicious. And it just, I was just so excited about this being back. And I was like, Mom, let's go get some apple pie. So we went on a little excursion. We went to Boulder, where I grew up. They have a lovely Boulder McDonald's because I didn't feel like, I don't really know where the Denver McDonald's are, but I feel like there's one near my house. But
I mean, just a hint, they're literally everywhere.
Okay, well, I don't even know it's not my life. Okay. So I was like, let's go to Boulder because I knew where that one was. And also Boulder's, like it's a nice little day, spend some time with my mom. And she was also excited about the pies. I knew something was wrong when I bit in and I was like, something's wrong. Like, I don't understand. Like, it tastes good, but the experience is off. And my mom bites into hers and she's like, I can't eat this. And I was like, oh, because she goes to McDonald's. And I was like, what is what? She's like, it's cold. And I was like, that's what it is. It's cold. Now, she gave me her pie and I was like, I'll air fry this. But I asked the guy, I was like, he was so sweet. He was the nicest guy. I was like, I'm curious, why is the pie so cold? And he's like, we actually, with the baked pie, we'll bake it and just give it to you as is. With the fried pie, it comes out too hot and we cool it off. And I was like, no, that's the whole point. It's supposed to burn your mouth. But, it's 2026 and we can't have fun things. So there you go.
Yeah, I would say too, of course, there's the old sort of actual story that became an old wives' tale, which is the story of McDonald's hot coffee, right? That burned that woman's legs and she sued them, yada, yada. I highly recommend an episode, if you're wrong, about the podcast where they dig into these big media stories and find the real story. And that the story of the hot coffee is actually really sad.
No, that was horrible.
But I'm thinking because of things like that, they probably just don't serve things as hot anymore.
Yeah.
I will be honest with you. My son is a McDonald's. He's 5 years old. He loves McDonald's.
Yes.
Loves McDonald's. So I do go there more often than I did as a kid. It was a very special treat when I was a kid, but I never had this apple pie. I had it. I really liked it, but
me too.
I'm not going from memory. And when you go from memory, it's such a different experience because you really want to have that same taste, the feelings that it gave you when you had it. And it sounds like even though you set yourself up for success, you went with your mom, you're like, I'm going to go to, my happy place in Boulder. It still was underwhelming.
Well, I mean, it was still a good day. We had fun, it's another, memory with my mom that's random.
Yeah.
The air fryer did its work and it was just right after I air fried it and got it to the temp it needed to be. But I do think, as we were on our way back, I was thinking about the coffee story, to be honest, and why they would say no to molten lava in your mouth. And there you go.
It's a liability. I will say when you pitched this to me earlier this week, I was like, how do we make this local? So it had me thinking about, there was this great bakery called Sugar Bake Shop that was on Broadway. And they used to sell these things called vegan Popsters. They were basically Pop-Tarts. They were amazing. Oh. And I went to look, I'm like, is it still around? Because I'm assuming they would do an Apple one at some point. Unfortunately, they're not around. But my little bit of Googling found that there are like handheld and or mini size apple pies that you can get at Legacy Pie Company or Izio's. And I would challenge both of us to maybe go try one of those and see if we can find, I know it's not going to be McDonald's, but maybe we could find a local equivalent that we love. So that was my challenge to you is go out and find a handheld apple pie that's local and see if you can find something that makes new magic for you.
I'm 100% here for it. I love Legacy Pie. Is that the same place that's over in West Wash Park by Levin's?
Yes.
Okay, I've totally been there.
They have that cute little, they have a short bus that looks like a stick of butter. It's like painted like a stick of butter. It's so cute.
Love that place. So yeah, I love that place. I love their location on the way to Estes Park. You know what? You have just given me a challenge that I am 100% here for. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you report back. In the meantime, dear listeners, if you have a favorite local place that you get some sort of handheld apple pie that like I couldn't find in a cursory Google search, let us know because I want to go try it too. And I know Michelle will. Give us a call, 720-500-5418. Shout out your favorite handheld apple pie. And also, of course, we're soliciting opinions on your thoughts on the revamp or the bring back this retro fried apple pie from McDonald's.
So sad.
I love you, Michelle. I love you. This was so fun. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are talking about the state of homelessness in Denver. This episode is brought to you by Denver Botanic Gardens, Chatfield Farms. Get ready to celebrate Chatfield Farms Lavender Gardens, Saturday and Sunday, July 18th and 19th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. With over 2,000 lavender plants, there's lots to explore with the whole family at Chatfield Farms. There will be local music, lavender products for sale, tours of the dye garden with demonstrations, barrel train rides, games, crafts for kids, and so much more. Plus, enjoy food and drink from some local faves like Breckenridge Brewery and Stem Ciders, with options made with lavender grown right at Chatfield Farms. Located at C470 and Wadsworth Boulevard in Littleton, Chatfield Farms has walking trails, curated gardens, and a historic homestead to explore. You can grab your tickets at botanicgardens.org right now. That's botanicgardens.org. And just a note, tickets must be purchased in advance. This episode is brought to you by the Regional Air Quality Council. This summer, go wild for Front Range air quality. Ground-level ozone is created from pollutants like car exhaust. It's the Front Range's biggest air quality issue and a leading cause of respiratory problems. Try these simple steps for better air and save money this summer. Carpool and combine trips to save gas, take public transit, ditch the commute and work from home at least one day a week. And don't idle your car when you're parked at the trailhead or in the pickup line. And a big one, electrify your lawn and garden equipment and get 30% off at participating retailers. It's so much quieter and it's better for your lungs. This discount is available through 2029, but the benefits are instant. Want to know when it matters most? Sign up for summer ozone alerts by texting Better Air CO to 21000, or sign up for emails at the Simple Steps Better Air website. Learn more ways to help improve our air quality on the Colorado Front Range at simplestepsbetterair.org. That's simplestepsbetterair.org. Okay, we're back. So there was this story that came out recently in The Economist, which is a British news magazine, and they published this piece called, quote, "As American cities grapple with homelessness, one offers a fix. Denver's answer to a stubborn problem." And it was looking at Mayor Mike Johnston's plan to get people off of the streets and into shelters. So his approach, I think from the beginning, has been obviously encampments were a huge issue around the city. And his approach has been to get folks out of those encampments and into shelter of some kind. So I don't want to say it's not solving homelessness, but this was sort of the first step. And this piece really championed Johnston's approach. In 2023, they looked at, when he became mayor, the point-in-time count showed around 1,400 unhoused people living on the streets and a little over 4,000 folks in shelter. Now, this year, the point-in-time count showed only 518 people counted on the streets and about almost close to 6,000 folks in shelters. So this was the lowest count of unsheltered homelessness in Denver since 2017. Michelle, I have to be honest with you. When an outside entity comes and looks at something in our city and explores it, I don't think they went in depth enough personally. Yep. I get a little bit skeptical of what this is trying to say or what their end conclusion is going to be about something that we grapple with every day. What did you think about this story?
So I actually enjoy reading The Economist because in my other life, I like to talk about policy. And so I am very familiar with The Economist. Like you, I am cynical about people from outside of places having feedback or insight into something that they're not living. And it was so very clear that, I mean, I needed someone to have been here for a year before writing a piece like that. And so I was like, we need to talk about this. In my view, whenever a piece like this is written or insight like this is written, I'm like, do you take public transit? This is my number one thing. Do you take public transit? I take public transit on purpose, saves me money. It's great. And I feel like a lot of the conversation and also a lot of why the head of RTD had a lot of problems is because transit also in Denver, in my view, in my opinion, has become also de facto a place of pseudo housing or like a third space for folks who don't have a third space to go to. And so my experience with unhoused citizens is that they are very much there. and numbers that I feel like are way above that 500 number that, people were discussing, and that we are under supporting them with their needs. I think that there are situations that are very uncomfortable for people where people are unable to use indoor facilities for, hygiene, things like that. It's not good. I'm like, just because we don't have tents doesn't mean that the people are housed.
I think you're getting to something that I think advocates for the unhoused and folks that work with homeless individuals every day would tell you too, which is these point in time counts are very precarious. Again, this is one night out of the year in winter when they go out and they make this effort to just do this count, right? And I think what you're pointing to is homelessness in general is a very complex experience. And we could say, I see someone sleeping on the street, we're counting them as unsheltered. But you're saying like there's other places where folks have been able to sort of half find shelter, like a bus, like riding, which I mean, I don't blame people. Yeah. It's warm. It's safe, relatively safe. I mean, I know safety is subjective, but I can see, and I think this kind of gets to what I struggled with these kinds of pieces too, is I don't like the idea that this is like a magic Denver solved homelessness, because this basically the numbers say since in this time, unhoused people, unsheltered people, that number has fallen by 64%. But I remembered looking back at the point in time count from this year, and unsheltered homelessness for families is still a problem. Unsheltered homelessness for folks under 18 actually went up. So there's just all of these different complexities that often get glossed over in these stories. And my concern is, now Denver's the model for solving homelessness. And I remember reading this about Houston a couple of years, probably almost a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
When they had a different approach, and this is the national leader in how they do it, or Salt Lake City has solved homelessness. And now Denver is that picture. But I think for us every day, and I mean, unhoused folks would tell you this too, maybe not a lot of things have changed for them other than some of us can't see them,
Exactly. And I would also say, in my view, that we need a federal level response that coordinates with local. That is so obvious to me. I've been to 46 states. I've traveled extensively across the U.S. I love this country, but it is very clear that on the local level, they need more resources. And I don't know that this is the moment that would happen. We'll just leave it at that. And so, to your point, like there's this wonder kid city that people are like, oh my God. And I'm like, I don't have you talked to like some of the tourists who are like, oh my gosh, but then tourists will say stuff like, because I meet people in passing, and then they'll say this, but my town has it too. Right. So it's not like they're picking on Denver, because they're like, we're dealing with the same issues. So there's also that.
Yeah. Well, and again, this outsider perspective, I was thinking about this a lot. I was recently in San Francisco, and our hotel was sort of on the edge of the Tenderloin, which is notoriously one of the most intense spaces for unhoused folks and people in crisis, right? And I was there for 5 or 6 days. It was intense. It was much more intense than I experienced in Denver. But this is my perspective as an outsider for a couple of days in one section of a massive city. So I could come home and say, oh God, San Francisco's got it way worse than us. But that wouldn't be an accurate picture, because I don't know what unhoused advocates are working on there. I don't know what all the programs are that they have. I mean, obviously this is a long time has been known as an area that struggled with this. But I think it's kind of speaks to this sort of parachute in conversation that happens when we get a big headline about Denver. And I mean, in some ways it's good PR, and I don't want to discount the fact that there has been work done, but I just think it's just so much more complex than we have solved unsheltered homelessness because it's dropped by 64%, right? The mayor has bought hotels. Some people have felt that was controversial. I can't help but think about in 2024 when 2 folks were murdered at the Doubletree on Quebec, which was a former hotel turned shelter owned by the city. I'm thinking about the camping ban that went into effect in 2012 and is still in effect today. And it is very controversial as to if it has been effective or not. Some folks could look at these numbers and say, yes, it is effective. But it's just, I don't know. I think we get a little bit of the short shrift sometimes when we're held up as a model for something that's more complex than a headline.
At least we're working on it, but I'm like, we're not there yet. And that's where I'm like, we're just not there yet. And that's what I thought immediately when I saw that. I'm like, maybe this person needs to walk around town with like different Coloradans.
Or talk to the Mutual Aid Monday folks,
Exactly.
or, like really dig in. But also, I do want to touch on something else, which is a couple of weeks ago, there was also a story from our friend McKenna Harford, former newsletter editor here at CityCast Denver, who's now a reporter for the Aurora Sentinel. She looked into the fact that Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman has been spending every Friday and Saturday morning since February at the Navigation Center in Aurora to understand what the homeless population is experiencing when they go through Aurora's system, which is a little bit different than ours here in Denver. And I will say, I think in 2021, Mayor Kaufman did a sort of more of a cosplay version of this, where he dressed as a homeless veteran and spent a week on the streets and in shelters. And he was heavily criticized by me, among other people, for cosplaying homelessness. And this approach now, he says, is to get a better understanding of the continuum. What is it like every day? And I will, while I'm still skeptical of like, why can't we just listen to people with lived experiences? I did find this approach interesting in comparison to Denver's. What did you think about this story with Mayor Kaufman?
So I remember being really like critical the first time. I remember that when, in 2021, when I think he had a tent and that kind of thing. And I think also, I feel like the timing with COVID, we're still in it. So I think I was cynical about a lot of things. I feel like there is something going on internally with Mayor Kaufman where this issue of unhoused Americans is touching him in a way. By the way, I'm no like Mike Kaufman stan. I don't live in Aurora. I'm always a little cynical with Republicans. I'm sorry. But I feel like there is something here that he cares about this issue enough to spend time on it, which is something that a lot of people in general, especially politicians, won't do. And so I have to give him credit for spending time out of his week to be in community with people that he otherwise would not be, because most people don't give a crap. And he has said that this has made him a more empathetic person per that post. And so if even that is something that happens, I think that's a huge deal. So.
Yeah, and he kind of addressed that in this piece from the Sentinel. He said, in comparing his experience in 2021 to this new experience, he said, quote, "The people I see are much more desperate. It's not a fad. So one thing I learned is just how easy it is to lose your housing and how hard it is to get it back." And I think that speaks a lot to what you just said, which is this is a different experience this time around. And I do just want to say, when it comes to Aurora, their approach is different. Denver here is like, get folks in shelter, right? This is Mayor Johnson's approach has just been get folks in shelter first. Aurora has a tiered approach. It's a 3-tiered system with, quote, benefits at each level. So the first is just basic shelter services. And that's where he's been staying every week, is on a cot in his clothes, every week, every Friday night. Tier 2 requires folks to engage with case managers and peer coaches, sort of get some of that in place with like social work and maybe help establish a long-term plan for them. And then actually that's Tier 3 is they offer long-term independent living with additional commitments, including a requirement to hold a full-time job. So when Aurora first sort of announced this, it was sort of the work first approach, which I'm extremely skeptical of as a person who has been in recovery and knows how helpful it was for me to get through my initial year of recovery because I had a safe house and a safe place to live in, and it didn't require me to work because I lived with my mom. And again, this is nothing compared to what folks were experiencing, but that was my skepticism. However, understanding that the mayor is now trying to sit through this to get it gives me a little bit more hope for the Aurora program maybe working in the long term. I'd be so curious to see how it is in 5 years. But It's just interesting looking at two different types of approaches here in two adjoining major metropolitan areas here in Denver, how we're dealing with homelessness and how it's being talked about by people that don't live here.
What I do appreciate is that there is a sense of urgency from both Mayor Mike Johnston as well as Mayor Mike Kaufman. What's the deal with all the mics? Like, we had another
It's
Mike
a good name if you want to run for office, I guess. Yeah. Michael, yes.
So I appreciate that there's an urgency and they're being thoughtful and they're working on it. And I mean, do I want more? Of course I do as a citizen, but I can't deny that they're spending hours and time on this. And maybe we'll see Mike Johnston volunteering. Maybe that's a mutual aid Monday experience. It could expand his horizons. We don't have Daddy Bruce anymore, where everyone was volunteering, and being in community, and I miss that actually quite a bit. And I wonder who that person will be moving forward.
I mean, I would say I think Mutual Aid Mondays is probably the closest we have to a Daddy Bruce in terms of he did this annually as well as just served people throughout the year. He was a restaurant owner here in the 80s and 90s here in Denver who did a massive Thanksgiving meal every year, but also throughout the year just helped people. Anyway, we'll be continuing to watch, obviously, the story, but I'd love to hear from our listeners how, if you read this Economist piece, what did you think? What was your takeaway? Do you think that they got us right? Do you think that there was something that Michelle and I are missing in this story? Or how do you feel about Denver's approach versus Aurora's approach? Give us a call, 720-500-5418, and let us know what you think. Okay, we're going to take one more quick break, and we are going to talk about farmers markets when we get back. This episode is brought to you by Energy Outreach Colorado. Energy Outreach Colorado is a statewide nonprofit helping income-qualified Coloradans pay their energy bills. If you're having to make tough choices like paying utilities or putting food on the table, Energy Outreach Colorado is here to help and ease that burden. Programs range from utility bill assistance to emergency furnace repair to community solar and energy efficiency work. So what does that look like in practice? Well, Energy Outreach Colorado's crisis services keep electricity, gas, and heat running with immediate bill pay assistance. But they also focus on the long term by investing in energy efficiency, electrification, and affordability solutions like community solar, all to help prevent future financial risks for families and neighbors who need it most. Learn how Energy Outreach Colorado is creating affordable energy solutions for Coloradans at energyoutreach.org. That's energyoutreach.org. All right, we're back, and we're talking about farmers markets. We are in the full swing, the full season. There are beautiful farmers markets all over the city. Obviously, Harvey Park Farmers Market is the newest one, but there are ones in almost every at least every quadrant of the city. We've seen more and more. But Michelle, you're a farmers market enthusiast yourself, and you brought this thought to me that was you have a little bit of concern about maybe a homogenization of the farmers market experience. What are you thinking?
So I was, for the last year or two, actually, so this has been something on my mind for a couple of years now. I have been feeling like when I go to different farmers markets that I'm encountering the same vendors everywhere. And I think that that's not great because why on earth would I go to different farmers markets to encounter the same freaking vendors everywhere? It's not ideal for a couple of reasons. One is it limits the opportunities for other small makers of goods and foods and items and things like that. It takes away the experience for the guests. I am not saying that a vendor couldn't be in one or two. Obviously, that's helpful to them. But when I'm going to multiple markets, because I check things out and I'm looking for standout stalls that are new to me, that are exciting. Like each year, I'm kind of like looking forward to something new. And it's becoming harder and harder to do because I'm seeing a lot of the same spots everywhere. The other thing is there's a lot of prepared foods at a lot of the farmers markets these days versus food, like fresh,
just like fresh produce.
Like produce. So randomly, I was in Boulder a couple weeks ago, And I went to their farmer's market and it was phenomenal. There were vegetables everywhere and fruits. And I was like, whoa, like I was taken aback by the simplicity of just the vegetables and meat, which is ironic because there are a lot of people who are gluten-free and vegans, but whatever. I can say that because I used to live there. So I want to talk about this because I love supporting local farmers markets. I love the experiences. They're all crazy busy, so we all love to go to them, right? But I'm not trying to visit the same market in different spots of the city. I'm trying to have a unique experience at a market in different spots in the city. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're kind of saying like when there's a dominant, big three or something of makers or growers that show up at every market, your concern is it can kind of crowd out those smaller or more up and coming ones. And while those are, I mean, because this is the thing is these are all, for the most part, hyper local businesses, but you still think that there is a concern of domination by a certain.
It's not even domination. It's if the markets are saying, hey, we'd love to have you. That's totally okay, fine. But
Yeah.
then they're not asking, how many other markets are you in? So
Yeah.
it's not even, it's like multiple vendors are in every market that I'm going to. And so it takes away a little bit of that excitement of going to the market because I'm like, I saw you at the other one. There are several markets that I really enjoy going to. There are some small ones that I feel like don't get enough like shout outs. So shout out Mobetta Green Marketplace that's run by a Black woman right by Blair Caldwell. It's
5
lovely.
points,
It's so
yeah.
small and just intimate. I love Harvey Park. There's a little vendor who makes like I want to say like Scandinavian pastries. They were so good. Like I
Ooh.
want to be excited to go. If you're going to be like freaking a mall, I'm not excited. I'm going to be honest. It's boring. So for next season, because season's here, we're already in it, please start thinking about the fact that your market is unique and whimsical and fun. And you take that all away when you have the same freaking 8, 10, 12 vendors and every single market. I could give you a list I won't hear, but I'm
Yeah, I
like,
was like, I want to,
we
steer
wouldn't
clear
do
of that
that. We
because
wouldn't do that.
I want folks to still go
Yeah.
to these markets and
No.
visit those vendors for sure.
Please
But you're just saying
support.
more variety.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Go, of course, go. It's a lovely experience. But in 2027, let's think about how can you make your market unique and exciting for us to go to? Because there are a lot of us who go to more than one market.
You're a little bit of an outlier there in that you go to multiple markets. I would guess the average person maybe has a one they go to every year or two they go to every year. But I do also just want to point to, I had this wonderful conversation with Peter Wanberg, who's one of the co-owners of the City Park and Lafayette Farmers Markets.
I love that
a couple of weeks ago. And I'll put a link in the show notes. He shared so much information on the back end of how farmers markets come to be. And it is a very complex and arduous and very, it's a precarious business, right? I mean, we're talking about produce in climate change and visa issues with folks that are working these I mean, there's so much going on behind the scenes. So I think that's worth a listen as well. But I would love to hear from.
I have listened to that episode actually.
Debbie, thank you. I learned so much from him and it really made me think differently. But Michelle, I'm going to be thinking about this when I will dedicate myself to going to at least 2 this year.
Ooh.
And I will see if I can spot the ones that I think that you're talking about. But I have to be honest, I don't go usually. So I need to experience this for myself. It's been a while.
I love going and I still support these vendors. Like that's not the issue. It's just, please let's remember that each farmer's market has its own identity. And I'm just feeling like the identity is starting to feel the same everywhere. And I don't think that that's anyone's intention.
Sure.
And I also brought this up because I was on Threads and people were remarking on this. So
interesting.
It's not
so you're
like,
not alone.
Yeah. Like there are other people who are like, there's something going on here. So I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. You're an expert here. You go to all of them. You would know these things.
I'm not spinning a lot. I'll tell you that for sure.
Doing a lot of window shopping, being a looky-loo at the farmer's market. Well, Michelle, thank you as always for joining me. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why don't you take a minute to tell the folks at Mutual Aid Mondays about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to our morning newsletter at denver.citycast.fm. And hey, thanks to our new neighbor, Michael B., who just joined our membership program. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.
I do want to shout out the Korean place at the market in Cherry Creek. There's this really awesome Korean vendor that makes deep fried chicken. Oh my God, so good. See, that's what I want to do. I want to be like, this one is so freaking amazing because it's nowhere else. That one's nowhere else. I love it. So I'm just saying.